Hi Chris, how are you?
Good evening, Rod. Yeah, I'm well. Here we are. It's episode 237. It is the 10th of August, and it's not muggy, it's hot. It's warm in my shed. It's beautiful sun outside, and I am looking forward to when we knock off and go out and sit in my patio maybe and enjoy a little bit of the sun.
Yeah, that is nice. I got to say, all the doom and gloom about us running out of crops and their, food prices about to escalate in the UK. And I took a little trip this weekend. I went down to Portsmouth and back, right across, past your neck of the world and over a little bit really. And it looked more like northern Spain or the south of France, frankly, than the UK because everything's brown.
Yeah, there's an article. Maybe I'll fish it out from on the BBC of just photos of how bleak some places are, and for those that are watching, if you look at Rod's paint colour on his behind his head, it's pretty much like that. A lot of the fields, it's not good, is it? It's been incredibly hot. We've had so little rain. It's just absolutely insane, isn't it? It's very different here in the UK than what we're used to.
Well, it's really odd. Without going into the politics of it, my parents are quite, shall we say, sceptical about climate change. And I keep going, there's a difference between weather and climate change. It's not the same thing. And I've been quite not looking forward to, but I was going to point out sort of the disparity in the weather this year and how the fact every single summer is record-breaking. Meanwhile, yep. Scotland are absolutely being pummeled by rain. So it's not helping my case that this...
I knew it was wetter up there, but because I was in Scotland a month ago, and it was lovely. It was quite refreshing because it was really hot down here. I went to Scotland for a couple of days for work. Oh, it was glorious. It was just really pleasant temperature. And I was like, I miss this.
Yeah. Well, what we need is a big pipe because it's all uphill to Scotland, right? And move some of that rain back down this way.
Yeah, let gravity kick in and send it down.
Something like that. Shall we do some follow-up?
Let's do the follow-up.
So in keeping with our Rampocalypse season ongoing, I just thought this was a nice little story, or not a nice little story on Rock, Paper, Shotgun, about how already the three biggest RAM makers have sold their 2027 output, potentially stretching the price was into 2028. Isn't that fantastic news? We're not in 2027 yet. We're only just halfway through 2026. Yay!
And their forward order book is 18 months pre-sold. You would have thought in the current climate they probably don't want to sell all of next year's yet because the price could, they could demand more for it as they get into next year, but it is what it is. But it definitely feels like it's here to stay. And my son was looking for a laptop recently and hunting around for a second-hand laptop that's not a ridiculous price, and I'm pushing him to get a 512 gig hard drive, not a 256 one, because I want. And he's like, but it costs more money, and I was like, yeah, but it will last you a little bit longer because it's going to be harder for you to upgrade it. It's really tricky, isn't it, at the time? But this is not good news, is it, for us that want to buy new tech possibly next year?
Well, it's not even that, is it? It's everything, because that impacts all the way down the line. If you've got an older computer and you want to upgrade it now, it's costing you lots and lots of money. Never mind the latest DDR5 or LP DRAM or whatever the current sort of standard is for the fastest stuff. This just pushes its way down all the time. And if you've got 8 gig and you thought you'd upgrade it later, or 16 gig and you want to go to 32, or you want to run your own LLMs in-house, or even you just want to buy a new Steam machine, all of this is impacting everything you do. Apple have put the prices up. We're going to talk in the main show about Dell's new laptop and what that sort of means for things. But once upon a time, this would be where other manufacturers could sort of really stick it to Apple. Apple showed some innovation. They put out their laptop, and then you see a host of other things coming along, and all of them are being crippled by RAM. I think it's a real problem. Yeah,
it's really sad, isn't it? And I mean, it looks like we're not even halfway through Ramageddon, is what it means.
It's weird though, isn't it? Because on one hand, we're not even halfway through Ramageddon. But should this AI bubble burst, where does that leave us all? We'll have a glut of really highly expensive server RAM out there that the rest of not that we'll be able to afford it anyway if the stock market tanks.
Yeah, well, there is that, yeah. So we're basically no good tech coming either way, whether the stock market tanks or not.
It's lose-lose.
It's lose-lose for us consumers.
Still, it's a nice day.
It's a nice day. But basically, I think a lot of people are going to be keeping their tech a lot longer than what we've seen historically.
It would be interesting to see if companies such as Microsoft, Apple, and maybe the Linux kernel, which already has an advantage, frankly, the Linux kernel, does something about being more efficient and optimized for low RAM configurations. That maybe you don't need all the whiz-bang stuff. Maybe we'll see things like games becoming better optimized like they were back in the early console days for lower RAM configurations or worse CPU configurations because nobody's got the new hotness.
Yeah, do you know what? It's a fair point. Like with the Neo coming out, obviously that's only got 8 gig of RAM. Are Apple going to actually target less RAM rather than assuming everybody's going to get more RAM? Actually, are they going to target less RAM now? Because it's just not achievable for them to get it. Yeah, it's an interesting point.
Well, as we talked about last week, the week before, the games industry's going under anyway, so maybe it's just lose, lose, lose.
Oh, God.
Speaking of lose, 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 I'm changing the subject. It's been bad news for charities in this last week. So there's been this attack on a customer relation management system called Beacon. Beacon seems to be the underpinning system that a lot of UK charities rely on. So there's more than 1,500 customers, and that means 1,500 charities. That's not 1,500 people affected. And if you think of the amount of people that give money to charity, that's a fairly significant cyber attack.
Yeah, it's huge, isn't it? 1,500 of their customers. Exponentially, there's going to be hundreds, if not thousands, if not tens of thousands of customers then that have signed up to each one of those customers. That's a lot of data.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a worry, I guess, for a charity particularly that relies on charitable donations of money, and more than that, they rely on those contact details for them to go back to in order to hopefully secure more charitable donations. And that obviously has an impact right across the sector. From, without they don't go into masses of who's actually affected by this. They just talk about one of the charities being affected. The higher profile victims is the Molly Rose Foundation, a persistent campaigner for the UK's Online Safety Act. That obviously affects the register who are reporting on this. But you could see, other charities include Macmillan Cancer Support, Young Person's Charity Motivate, Chiswick House, London-based homeless charities. These aren't small charities, and the ongoing impact of that is what you don't want is people not to be donating money to charities at a time when the economy is in a massive downturn, because there's lots of people in need, and that's a real problem.
Yeah, no, it is a real problem. This is not. There's no good in this, is there? It's just. But do you not think though that the average person is just blasé about it now because they're so used to their details being leaked?
I think that's the worry, though, and without, you can forecast ahead to this that we've got a bit of a perfect storm coming of no money, charities affected, medical funding not being funded. It's just none of it's great. I mean, your standard phrase is not good, is it? And frankly, it just gets worse. I mean, let's have some happy news stories soon, please.
I was going to say, this is going to be the Doom and Gloom podcast, Rod.
I don't think it's going to be the Doom and Gloom podcast. I think we try and maintain a realistic eye on what's going on. We do try and find a bit of joy where we can. Chris, we did a tier list a couple of weeks back. That was lots of fun.
True. That was a good episode. I did enjoy that.
So there we go. That was a fun thing. So now let's talk about a less fun thing. And the last 3 weeks, I think, with the exception of the tier list, we've been talking about LLMs getting out and doing hacking attacks, because I think last week we were talking about them not being in air-gapped servers between the internet and what was going on. Well, now we have information via Engadget from the UK's AI Research Institute about, they go on hacking sprees. They're not trustworthy. There are all sorts of nasty things going on about there. But this is the institute, which operates under the UK Department of Science, evaluates frontier AI models. Part of those evaluations see if they can be misused for cyber attacks. So they deliberately test them under permissive conditions, so slightly different from what we've seen before. They do have access to the internet. They do have some safeguards disabled. And they did act beyond the scope of their testing parameters. So yay, they won't do as they're told. They will go out and be nasty, and it's no wonder we're seeing sort of this increase in cyber attacks for UK charities and things like that.
Well, it's kind of a double-edged sword here, isn't it? You've got these AI models being able to find exploits, and then you've got the agent capability where you can automate tasks and things. So it's not a big shock that some of this stuff's going to be misused, is it?
Well, I mean, they were worried about them releasing the Mythos model because it was really quite good at this kind of stuff, and all of the LLM providers seem to be doing that, allowing models that are far more proficient at being agentic, automating, fix errors in our code, never mind fix errors in everybody else's code. I saw a news story from Linus Torvalds this morning talking about how the next version of the Linux kernel.
I've put that in the news.
Oh, you've put that in the news. Well, maybe I'll save that I'll keep my powder dry. Anyway, I think this is bad. It's not surprising, but it feels like every week now we're reporting on more attacks from large language models, and that's not going to go away, I don't think.
No, and OpenAI have got a new Astra model, which is going to cause more problems in this area because it's more advanced. It's moving forwards at such a pace.
Yeah, it's not happy times. Not happy times at all. Should we do some news?
Right, let's do the news.
So, sticking with LLMs in the news, if you're willing to hand a bit of your data over to Meta...
Are we going to become an AI podcast?
It feels like the way the industry's moving, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, obviously, AI has been around a long time, but it's really this year. There's huge momentum, and maybe we are at the pinnacle of the bubble, and obviously history will tell us. But last year, there was a lot of talk of AI, but this year just feels it's gone up a notch. Do you know what I mean? And I know it's been going for a while. Copilot was quite early doors with OpenAI, but this year, I don't know why, it just literally every road just leads to an AI conversation.
It does, but I think it's chicken and egg. That the stories are about it because it's what's in the stories, and therefore all of their impacts on them. So it's. I'm not going to call it a virtuous circle. I'm going to call it a vicious cycle. I think of these things being out there and people making use of them, and we make use of them, and people in our industry do make use of them, and it's not a surprise that they're kind of what we're thinking about. But equally, they affect the public so much in terms of data centers, power use, production of new energy making facilities, potential impact on jobs. It's a huge deal, and I think we have to talk about it for that point of view. And there's still the dodgy ethics about what's been involved in their creation. So I guess it is what it is. And sticking with that theme, Meta will let you use their Muse code model with reduced or discounts on their tokens, as long as you give it access to your data. Now, if there's one company, not that I know that I trust the rest of them all that much. I mean, I don't know how you use, I think it's Claude we both use, but I ask questions in a browser. I don't install its little, is it Codex, the agent that sort of sits on your Mac that will let you do things like set reminders and all that kind of stuff in your...
That's the OpenAI one.
Right. There is a Claude equivalent.
So I do have, okay, so why don't we quickly go into that? So I do use Claude on my Mac and on my iPad. I've got the app, but it's got no access to touch anything else. Rod's putting a face for those that can't see it. Where I'm using it for coding, I'm using it directly within Xcode, and it is running Rife across my Mac at that point.
Yeah, well, it's got access to the code that's open in your web browser and presumably the project in which Xcode is running in. Does it have access beyond that?
No, just within the project. It does have access to the simulators.
Yeah, but you said Rife. Rife implies it's got access to your entire SSD.
No, it doesn't have access to that. And I've seen it pop up and go, can I have access to your network? It's like, no, you cannot. But it can have more. What is quite good with it is it does walk you through what it's doing. It does prompt when it wants more permissions to do things. It is quite... Rod looks very uncomfortable. I think it's quite clever how they've implemented it, and it's definitely way better in the newer version of Xcode than the previous version. They've really improved the interface.
No, I was just reflecting on the fact that if you put it on an air gap container somewhere, it can worm its way out of it. So what's it doing to your Mac, Chris?
Yeah, I don't know. But I haven't got much to hide, so I'm good.
I mean, we'll probably do it when the next version of macOS releases. But we need to talk at some point about the new version of Siri and how it compares to some of these sort of new frontier models. Anyway, if you want to have a go at installing Muse code on macOS or Linux, then Meta will give you a lovely bash install script to paste into your terminal, and you can let it have a lovely time on your data. I would be extremely hesitant about letting it do this.
Yeah, I'm not a Meta fan at all, so I'm going to not install anything to do with Meta. I'm getting comfortable with Claude, but then obviously the article we just read in follow-up gets me a little less comfortable with Claude. You've got to try and pick the least worst option, I think that's my view. But no, I'm not going to be using any Meta stuff, but I'm not surprised they're doing this, right?
No, and they're offering all the same things as Anthropic and Grok and all the rest of them. An agent on your computer, a little more deep, invasive collaboration with what's already on your machine, but it's there if you want it, and if you're a big fan of Meta and you trust them, then crack on, I guess. But I don't think either of us are included in that particular thing.
No, agreed.
Something else that we're not included in is X. We've been quite negative for it for a while, but Apple seem weirdly positive towards X, the app formerly known as Twitter. This is once again an article from The Verge, which I'm not going to scroll in, but the nuts and the bolts of it is, why does Apple keep banning things like Telegram? So Telegram got banned briefly. I think it was the early hours of Wednesday morning or Thursday morning last week. They were knocked off for 2 hours for potentially having child and sexual abuse material on there, and they got paused from the App Store while they did something within that. X has the ability to, still to this day, the ability to nudify people. And there was an awful lot of controversy about that last year when this happened for the first time with Grok doing it. And governments, including our own government, were questioning why this was still being allowed in app stores. To my knowledge, they've never answered any of the questions around that and have merely sailed on taking money from users. But why do X get not banned and Telegram do? It seems like a disparity to me, that.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. They seem very quick to ban Telegram, but they've seemed very slow to do anything with X. It doesn't feel like they're being treated the same.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. I saw a comment about the fact The Verge had posted this, saying The Verge was now a political movement rather than a technical reporting website, because it keeps putting things like holding various individuals' fingers to the fire on their viewpoint on tech. And I think tech is political at this point. It's quite hard to separate the two things.
It feels like everything is political at this point.
Yeah, I mean, once upon a time, you'd happily be Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak in a garage building a Mac, building the Apple and the Apple II, and that's not been the case for a while.
Sadly not.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with The Verge on this. It does seem a double standard. The sort of summary of it, by the way, is you're going to get sued because, the individuals involved have the ears of people in power and very, very, very deep pockets. And that's not to say the owner of Telegram doesn't have deep pockets, but he doesn't have the political sway of an Elon Musk or a Donald Trump or one of those people who might be slightly cheesed off about the fact that Apple withhold them from the... I mean, Elon's known to be slightly litigious, I think it's fair to say.
Just a smidge. I don't even know who the owner, chairman, CEO of Telegram is, I must confess.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a slightly controversial character as well. I'm not excusing Telegram as being a perfect organization, or the man that runs Telegram as being a perfect organization. I think he lives in Dubai. It's run out of Dubai or something like that. It may have been Russian or had links to Russia at some point. I know it's the primary means of like the Ukrainian military communicating with each other to a certain extent. There's a lot of activity on there from intelligence services and all the rest of it. But yeah, it is an interesting thing to me that X is allowed to persist without... An X is allowed to persist uncensored is the thing. They're not even getting warning strikes like this. They're just allowed to continue.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? You were right. Telegram is headquartered in Dubai.
Yeah, there you go. It's vaguely in my head. I can't scroll on the Verge article, so that was entirely out of my brain. Let's move on and keep talking about LLMs, because this is in a particularly exciting development. Not only can they work your way around and do denial of service attacks and do backdoors into your computer, even when air-gapped, they can now actually be set to work making him better viruses to attack human beings and other wildlife.
We're doomed, aren't we? Like, the world as we know it is doomed.
Well, do you want Skynet? Because this is how you get Skynet.
I kind of want to go back and rewatch Terminator 2, I must confess. But we do feel doomed, right? The planet's slowly boiling. The AI is attacking everything, and all our private info is being leaked across the internet. And now we've got AI making viruses. Like, where's the good stuff coming?
Yeah, I mean, James Cameron didn't predict this in the Terminator, did he? He just thought they were going to build big killer robots. Never mind genetically engineer us out of, super flu virus to kill us off.
Yeah, and then Claude and OpenAI and Meta just end up having a digital war against each other.
So this article in Engadget, they're trying to put a positive spin on it. I mean, it's via Study in Science, which is a reputable journal. It's actually for the good. If you understand better how viruses can propagate or be attacked or all the rest of it, or be improved, then you can hopefully come up with better engineered viruses, such as the mRNA one that we used to very quickly come up with at least some sort of vaccine against some strains of COVID and things. So, of course, there's always a positive and negative to things. Your first read of this might be, oh my gosh, that's terrible. We're going to have AI engineered viruses flying around and they might make COVID look like nothing. But actually, in the hands of sensible scientists, there's a lot to be learned from something like this, and they may see something that a human researcher has not looked at yet. So, pros and cons to all things. A hammer can be a thing of damage, or a hammer can be a useful thing to bash nails into a wall or remove screws from a wall. Not screws, nails. But a tool isn't how you use it at the end of the day.
Yeah, and this is what I'd like to see from this. Right, if we can make a virus with it, can we make antidotes? Can we find the cure for cancer? Can we find the cure for insert X here? So I'd like to think people are using it the right way, but for every 1 or 10 people using it the right way, how many people are going to use it in the bad way? Yeah,
as we see from the proliferation of attacks and things I think there's more people able to use it in the bad way than in the good way. But, time will tell, I guess.
Yep, true. Time will tell.
So when it all goes horribly wrong, and there is no more internet and there is no more RAM for your computer, you might need to make do with the best you've got. And it may be that what you really want when the walls come down is Wikipedia, so you can remember how things work. And this is a little project I found called Project Nomad, which if you have got a fairly modest machine or virtual machine lying around somewhere, will let you download stuff to it, so you will have local knowledge, when the apocalypse comes. So this is quite a neat little project. You download it, you install a version of Ubuntu on there, it will work in a virtual machine or something like that, and it will give you offline knowledge, so it will download as much as Wikipedia as you want it to. Should you choose and have enough ZPU, it will give you a local LLM. It will download a version of OpenStreetMap, I think it is, to give you street maps of around the world, and things like Khan Academy, so you can learn stuff all on your own server. So, and while it's still got attachment to the internet, it will keep it refreshed as well. So I just thought this was interesting for the digital pack rat.
So, assuming that we're going to lose internet connectivity at some point, you can just keep this up to date as your own survival database. I quite like that. That's quite cool.
And if you've got solar panels, you'll even be able to keep your computer running. So,
yeah, that's quite neat. I like that.
Yeah, this is why I featured it, really. I thought it's worth maybe keeping one eye on it, because let's face it, Wikipedia could be taken down tomorrow if they run out of money. I mean, it seems unlikely, but it's quite an important resource.
One of us may have built a little app that talks to Wikipedia, and you can save articles and see your recent history. I did that this week. And please don't tell me Wiki's going away, because I love Wikipedia. It's one of my favourite sites.
I have, full disclosure, I have occasionally contributed money to Wikipedia because I think it's a very valuable thing. So I do.
So good.
I do chuck them a bit of money now and then. I think this is a great thing, though. That people are worrying about this kind of stuff. I do slightly worry it's the kind of mentality that lives in a bunker somewhere in North Carolina.
In a Faraday cage inside a bunker in the middle of nowhere that's completely off grid with a petrol generator.
And I don't mean to cast shade at the people of North Carolina, but it's that sort of opinion that the pack rat that wants to hide and come the apocalypse would think of something like this. But I genuinely think it's a useful project if you want, or if you were traveling somewhere where you're guaranteed to have a spotty internet connection or something, and there's really useful maps or whatever that you need to have while you're there. I think it's a really useful thing.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I do quite like the sound of this. Because I had previously looked into it, actually, can you download Wikipedia? Because I just quite like the idea if it will being offline.
Oh, there you go. There's no way to do it. So if you have got 5 minutes in a virtual machine, maybe you want to try it.
Yeah, okay, that's cool.
Back to a story we talked about earlier. Linus Torvalds talking about the impact AI has on the development of the Linux kernel. I mean, he's not completely negative, Linus, towards AI. I think he was to begin with, just in the sort of the increase in bloats and the amount of things he had to deal with as a consequence of it being there. But he's not negative against it improving the Linux kernel. And basically what he's saying here is that he's on the release candidates for the next version of that. And it's huge by Linux kernel standards because of all the patches and updates and software work that's been done within it.
And I think this is becoming a theme. It feels like more people are getting comfortable using AI to develop with. I know I've been making some games with AI and some other little apps, and I've conflicted, do I release them? And I'm trying it because I wasn't sure what do you do with it, and I think I'm getting comfortable with it, and it feels like other people are getting comfortable. You just see it with a podcast player we both use. They're doing loads of development on it, this one person, and because they're leaning into AI now, they've done more development and bug fixes in the last 2 months than they've ever done because AI has been doing it.
Yeah. And if the kernel maintainers are putting it in there, and obviously Microsoft talked about their code was actually being generated by AI, not just going into the kernel from AI, but and we've seen them laying lots of developers off. I'm quite glad that somebody like in control of this, like Linus, at least knows the kernel. Like, he wrote it to begin with, but he knows it inside and out. All these generations of it, he won't be around forever. And I think striking that balance between new technologies that can improve things and setting you up not for failure for the future is really important. So I'm quite glad that there's somebody who's dictatorial enough in this instance to say, yeah, this makes sense or this doesn't, while still being welcoming. Because let's face it, lots of these LLMs use Linux under the hood as their data, either as their operating system or their open source databases, or there's all sorts of things that they owe a massive debt to open source software. You quite often see them come to Mac OS and Linux first because they're the platforms that people develop with.
No, I'd agree with that. So now I think it's super interesting seeing them use it. I was surprised, if I'm being honest, as I was reading the article, but I guess they've got to. If they want to patch and do all of those things and find those exploits, they'd be silly not to use it, even if it's just on to help them find it and suggest, and then they can edit the code, because it is really good at churning through and finding specific issues.
Yeah, and if they are the attack vector for getting into the Linux kernel, then you'd be mad probably not to use them to highlight those potential exploits in the first place.
Yeah, there is that. That's fair.
So there we go. Car Corner?
Go on then. What's going on in Car Corner?
Very depressing things are going on in Car Corner. I actually sent you this in the week, didn't I? If you're the proud owner of a new generation BMW, so I think that's the iX3 and above, something like that, you may have got in your car and been presented with a Spider-Man Brand New Day advert. That must have been fun. Also, hello to your dog.
Yeah, apologies. My dog is in the background and just said hello. Yeah, this is bad, isn't it? Like, I get you may want to offer it, but if it's anything like their New Year's video I used to get my BMW, you kind of have to click on it to get rid of it. I don't know. I just think I don't like it. Yeah, I don't like it.
I really don't like it. I mean, BMW is the company who we were annoyed at before for charging you a monthly subscription for heated seats. So you had the hardware in your car. If you wanted heated seats, there you go. Which is, I mean, it's weird what you'll accept as a human being, isn't it? I think it's Ford and the Mustang, the original Mustang in 1960, whatever it was, were the first company to offer paid upgrades within a car. Before that, you just bought a car and you got what was in the car. Ford went, if you want air conditioning or you want shiny paint or you want a convertible version, then you all pay more for extra. And BMW, of any company, are the company that truly embraced that. So, the options list on a BMW probably exceeds everybody, even Audi these days.
I think Porsche apparently are the ones that have got the big list and very expensive list to go with it. So yeah, I'm not surprised. I just think this is a bit. I don't know. I think it's a bit rubbish.
I think it's tacky. If I've spent upwards of iX3 upwards of £60,000 or something like that on a car, and the rest,
yeah, I would assume.
And you're being that space that you paid all that premium money for now has an advert on it. I think that's really, really tacky.
But almost who's going to go, I'm used to watching adverts.
I don't think it's right, though. And if you read through this...
I agree. I don't think it's right, but I just wonder actually will the masses care.
I mean, it's interesting that there is a quote here from somebody who was in charge of marketing at BMW. The movie Spider-Man Brand New Day paid BMW to take over the display of every BMW made after 2020. When you start a BMW, it shows you an ad. Great. But if you scroll back a little bit, you'll find BMW were the company, their marketing director was saying, absolutely not. We'll never show advertising on our dashboards. So talk about a double standard. There you go. Stephen Durack.
Depends how big the check is.
But that's not right. That's not right. I think...
I agree. I'm just, you can just imagine how the conversation went. We're never going to do advertising. Well, we're going to write you a check for $1 squillion. Oh, okay. Yeah, we can advertise what you want.
Yeah. Senior Vice President for Connected Company Development, Stephen Durack, once pushed back hard against the guy that BMW would ever sell ads to display in its car. To say I'm selling the display to play a commercial, I don't see it. It's a private space. All those years ago in 2023, good standards, BMW. Good sticking to that. Well done.
3 years ago, brilliant.
Yeah, I'm so proud of your ability to resist the large amount of money from from Marvel or whatever it was.
And that's also going back to cars in 2020. So if I still had my electric BMW, I would have got the advert.
Yeah, you would.
Brilliant.
Isn't that great? Let's move to and do some media because I want to talk about something related.
Okay.
So I went to see Spider-Man Brand New Day.
Is that because you got in a BMW, saw the advert and go, I really want to go see that film?
No, it's really not. Although I did notice the egregious use of a BMW advert within Spider-Man Brand New Day.
Was it a bit like the Running Man where it turned into an Alpine advert at the end? I don't know if you've seen the Running Man.
I have seen the new Running Man film, and yes, there's an Alpine advert at the end, and yes, that was really tacky as well.
It was awful. It just didn't fit with the film. It just the film was really good, or pretty good up to that point.
Really good.
Pretty good. But then at that point, it was like, you just ruined it.
It wasn't as bad as that. I think, if memory serves, they get in a BMW at one point, and Marvel films have always been Audi, so that was a bit of a
yeah, of course, because Tony Stark had Audis.
Yeah. There's been a lot of Audis in the Marvel films, so there's BMW in this one. Although this is more of as much a Sony thing as it is. Superhero licensing is complicated. Anyway, there's a billboard in the background for an iX3 or something like that, and I thought, there you go, because I'd seen this story about the BMW dashboard, and I was expecting something BMW related. The film's all right. Didn't mind the film. The advertising was a bit rubbish, but it's a bit disjointed in the second half, I think. They're trying to cram too many sort of story nuggets into what comes next, and they could have used the actors a little bit more. It's funny, we were talking about The Odyssey last week, and 3 of the actors from The Odyssey were in this. Zendaya, Tom Holland, and John Bernthal are all in this as well.
They've had a good year.
They've done all right, I think, for money for these things. Most of them are in June, part 3 as well, also to come out this year. Yeah.
Okay.
I think John Bernthal's missing from that one, but certainly Zendaya... Oh, no, I tell a lie. I think it's just It's just Zendaya in that one. But yeah, there's a lot of money coming out for them this year.
Different world, isn't it? But I get product placement. Do you remember like Casino Royale had Bond driving a Mondeo, the new Mondeo at the time? Shows how old that film is. But it was brief. You know, he was in the car, he drove from A to B, and it was done. Whereas you sometimes end up watching a film and it just become a commercial, and I just think that product placement just ruins it.
Well, we can go back further than that, Chris. GoldenEye had a tank smashing through a massive thing of Perrier.
Okay, I don't remember that. I remember the tank, but I didn't think it was
massive thing of Perrier. There's been product placement in films for a long time. Aston Martin, Lotus, all had their cars featured in Bond films. Rolex watches, Omega watches. Bond may be the franchise that sort of pushed us right to the fore.
Yeah, you're probably right. But I think there's him like wearing a watch or a character wearing a watch, which is different, I think, to a car being shoehorned in and for too long and lots of external scenes showing it off. I think there's a balance to be had.
And in fact, now you've set me off on this path. I will talk about Spider-Man a bit more in a second. In GoldenEye, did he not drive a BMW Z8 or a Z3 for the space of about 15 seconds for no reason whatsoever? Yeah?
Yep.
Correct. And then in the next film, he remote controlled a BMW 5 Series with a Sony Ericsson phone.
7 Series.
7 Series with a Sony Ericsson phone.
Yep.
So I blame Bond. Back to Spider-Man.
Okay, fair enough.
Back to Spider-Man. Yeah, it's a decent film. Special effects are very good. I very obviously filmed in Glasgow, parts of it, which I very much enjoyed.
Yeah, I'd forgotten that was being filmed up there, which kind of blew my mind. I was going to see if the boys would come and see us with me because we don't often go to the cinema, and I thought this might be a good father-son activity.
Yeah, as you see, critics... I mean, we've talked before about Rotten Tomatoes having a slightly biased view when it comes to the way the review system works. It tends to push reviews up or down, so you either get very high scores or very low scores, not so much in the middle. 90% for critics, 98% for the audience. I think it's fairly fair. I mean, it was reasonable. It was a perfectly reasonable film. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, but you're saying reasonable. They're saying this is
awesome.
Like
no, it's not.
Chef's kiss.
It's not a Paddington 2, is it?
Oh, that is the best film.
That's
such a good film.
It's a great film, Paddington 2. I'd say this was a solid 3.5 to 4 out of 5 for me. It was true to the character. I think they kept the theme going that these films have had, and it was certainly better than the second Spider-Man film. Is that the right one? The one with Jake Gyllenhaal in, and I didn't mind the third one. It was fine. It was good.
Was the third one the one where there's multiple universes? I don't know.
Yeah.
My brain can't cope with that.
It was a bit of fan service, wasn't it? They brought back all the villains from the old one, and they did all. They've been a fine series of film. I think Tom Holland's a good Spider-Man. They've told them quite well.
Agreed.
And this was a good. I don't know if this is his last time as Spider-Man. He might pop up in Doomsday, but I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yep. No, fair enough.
So that was Spider-Man. Games.
Let's do the games.
Game. I put this in entirely for you, Chris. Entirely for you.
I read this and I was like, yes. The only problem I've got, actually, let's read the story first and I'll tell you.
So, Rock Paper Shotgun have announced that Quake is getting a free new chapter for its 30th birthday. I can't believe it's its 30th birthday. But it's promising ferocious combat and labyrinthine level design with its nightmarish realms to celebrate its 30th birthday. So you must be super excited, having just done Quake recently?
Yep, I recently replayed Quake on my Switch, so this looks great. But do I get it? I don't know.
I don't know, actually. What the answer to that is, I presume that you can just download it.
So I don't know. So I need to go and find out how do I get it, because I have enjoyed playing it on my Switch. I'm sure I will get it on something, because I probably own Quake on Steam as well. But absolutely loved it. This is great, because I really enjoyed replaying Quake. So yeah, interested to see it.
Okay, so what this gives you is 19 new maps, it would seem.
It's quite a lot for Quake.
As part of the campaign, with a fresh soundtrack and a new deathmatch map. Who's still playing Quake in deathmatch? In terms of new enemies, you can expect deadly new twists and familiar foes, including the Rocket Ogre demo, Blood Shambler, and with the potential challenge of killing your enemies by leaning into overwhelming you with fire or setting explosive traps. There's also a new super axe that shoots lightning and a laser cannon with ricocheting projectiles. And to get it, apparently, it's only available on Steam or Microsoft Store Game Pass for copies of the 2021 Quake.
Awesome. So I'm keen to get this. So even if I have to buy Quake, I probably would.
I mean, fair enough. I don't know if I've got Quake on Steam.
Yeah. I just love it. I just think it's a great game. I'd like it if it was on the Switch.
It's a bit old for me. I mean, I'd rather fire up Battlefield 6 or, let's face it, Slay the Spire 2, because that's the only game you ever really need.
Apparently so.
I don't know why you'd need anything else ever. It's all I ever play.
Fair enough. No, I'm curious to try this out. I'd like to see what.
Well, there you go. Our PSA is done. If you're a big Steam Quake fan and you happen to have Steam or the Microsoft Store versions of it from 2021, you can play it.
Yeah, it's good as it. But how often does somebody release something for free?
Rarely, very, very rarely.
So I think that's kind of cool.
Right, should we do a main show?
Yeah, let's do it.
This probably won't take us very long. I just think it was worth talking about. So, Dell released a new laptop, and we talked about it at the time that they had a competitor to the MacBook Neo, and it's running on Intel's new platform. I wish this would show me the thing I want to see. Show up now. That's what I want to do. That's not what I want, is it? I want the Dell XPS 13. Thank you, Dell, for making this so complicated.
Did you go to the UK website?
I did.
If you stay on the US website, you'll get what you want.
Yeah, you can get it. I did find it on the UK website as well, though. But so I was hoping that was what would come up. But Dell being Dell. Anyway, this is what we want. This is the new Dell XPS 13 using Intel's new generation of Core i5, or just Core 5, I think it's called these days. Get it now if you're planning on getting one, and maybe our discussion here will sway you one way or another. But if you're in the market for a MacBook Neo, this is the PC equivalent. This is Dell's goal at releasing their version of a MacBook Neo. So the XPS 13 is a 13-inch laptop starting at $599 if you're a student, $699 if you're not, and I think the price is going to go up in about 30 seconds' time. So if you're in the market for one, maybe rush out and buy one. And I think the be-all and end-all of this is it's got a terrible graphics chip, unlike the MacBook Neo, which is a good graphics chip. But for a PC laptop, this can do sort of 15 to 16 hours on battery and has instant sleep and all that good stuff that you want from a computer. So I think that's pretty good.
That's quite cool. I was a bit confused they called it XPS because historically XPS was like their top of the range lineup. So that did throw me a little bit. But if you look at it, it looks just like a Mac. Do you know what I mean? Like if you just glance at it quickly, it's just the Windows or Copilot key that's like, oh, what's that? But the rest of it just looks very Apple-esque.
I think
even the wallpaper.
Yeah. No argument at all. I think this is a really compelling device. So it's 13 inches.
Looks great.
If you've got a huge long battery life like that, I can put Linux on it, which for me is a game changer. And it's been tried. You can put Fedora 44 on there. It needs some patches and updates, but after that, you're good to go. And you've got a laptop with like 13, 14, 15 hours battery life. Phenomenal. It's got a backlit keyboard. MacBook Neo doesn't have a backlit keyboard. It's got a 120 hertz screen. The MacBook Neo doesn't have that. It has two 10 gig USB-C connectors on it. The MacBook Neo doesn't have that. What the MacBook Neo does have is better speakers and a headphone jack.
Okay.
And a slightly better trackpad, because PC laptop trackpads suck generally. And this is the old hinge-based trackpad, so it hinges from the top, unlike the MacBook Neo. But I think this is a pretty flexible, well-spec'd device with 8 gigs of RAM. I think I'd probably want to put a bit more RAM in there if you can, and I think you can with this, again, unlike the MacBook Neo.
The next model up, which is $200 more, has 16 gig of RAM.
Yeah. So
it's a touch screen as well, by the looks of it. It's 2.5K screen.
Yeah. It's a much better screen. It's got a backlit keyboard. It's a lot more flexible in terms of you don't have to put Windows on it. You can put something that you can run what you brung on there, which is a sort of major selling point to me. Unlike a framework, it's not as upgradable, but you can pop the bottom off and stick in a bigger SSD if you want, and you can't do that with a MacBook Neo.
That's quite cool.
So I think this is quite an interesting device, and I'm a bit sad, as I was hinting at at the beginning of the show, the memory crisis is going to really push these out of people's hands, because I think this is the first time somebody's brought a laptop to market that's actually competitive with Apple in a long time.
Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 6.
Yeah. Strong device.
Pretty good.
If you go,
it's a really strong device.
Yeah. If they'd put a headphone port in this, I think they'd be absolutely on a winner, and it could stay at this price range and isn't about to get pushed up.
Do you think that's really a deal breaker?
The price?
No, the headphone port.
I don't think it's a deal breaker, absolutely not. But I think this is a cheap laptop primarily aimed at students who are going to sit in the library, plug their headphones in, and off you go. And yeah, I guess most people have got Bluetooth headphones these days, but you and I right now have both got our computers plugged on with headphones. I know we're podcasting, but I still think these kinds of headphones, when you're in the zone working away, it's how much does it cost to stick a headphone jack in a laptop?
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I guess it's the space it takes up, because it goes quite far in. That was always my understanding. I don't disagree with you. I think it's a great device. Like, if I was in Windows land, I would be giving this the side eye because it does look very compelling.
But this is it. It's not just Windows land, is it? You can install a proper operating system on it, a real one.
Yep, fair enough.
Which is something our Apple devices don't let us do, really. I mean, you get Asahi Linux for M1 and M2 Macs, but not for the current M5, and certainly not for the MacBook Neo with its A19, A18, whichever chip that's in that.
I think the problem is the A numbers have got so... I was thinking about this earlier. I have no idea what chip is in my iPhone. They've got so high now, I can't keep track of them. My brain just doesn't compute.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. I think this is really a really interesting device that is going toe-to-toe with the MacBook Neo. And there's a lot of people, I think, you could pick one of these features. I want 120 hertz screen, or I want a backlit keyboard. They're quite important these days. They're not... They should be table stakes, and Dell have done that.
I was just about to say table stakes because really, I mean, you do expect it as a minimum now. It's not a pro feature or premium feature. It's been around for so long. You kind of expect that minimum, don't you?
But you think about the two ports in this as well. That one of the ports in the Apple one is only USB 2 speed, and basically it's for charging and nothing else. You've only really got one port on that laptop.
Yep, that is true.
So I think this is quite a compelling thing, and if I had any money, I might be tempted to take a punt. Although I got to say, I'm so lost in ThinkPad land these days, particularly the new upgradable one, that maybe not hard. But genuinely, if I were to rewind sort of 12 years of my kids and this was a thing, I would be thinking quite strongly about this as something to buy them rather than the MacBook Neo.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with it. It does look very compelling.
It's even available in a couple of colours.
Crazy. Well, Sky or Storm.
Grey or grey.
Not loving the names there, but yeah, no, I think it looks good, and look, it's good that the Windows market or the Linux market or another market is getting compelling laptops. And maybe the Neo helped kickstart this, but this must have been in development before the Neo came out.
You'd have thought so, and it's down to Intel's chip. And isn't it great? We're going to actually get a competitive Intel potentially again, because the battery life is probably the most important thing for most people on laptops these days.
Yeah, but I'm guessing manufacturers are having to do these cheaper devices because of the Ramageddon that we're currently in. The cheaper devices are going to get more expensive, and so the regular device is going to get more expensive. So they do need something like this at the lower end of the market, which is going to replace the regular part that we would all buy a MacBook Air at.
Well, compared to a Chromebook, yeah, it's a lot more money, but it's a lot more capable as a device.
But you can see these ending up at the same price as what a MacBook Air costs today. This will probably get there at some point, and the MacBook Air will be MacBook Pro money, and the Pro will go up, and you can see that's the world we're about to enter into for a period of time.
Absolutely. Also included in the show notes is a little link to Jeff Geerling, who's done a review of it. So as always, Jeff's worth watching. It's only 7 or 8 minutes long, I think. He does a fairly comprehensive review. So check that out too. App of the week?
Go on then, let's do it.
My app of the week this week is called 4L, which is a slightly odd name for an app, but it does one thing really well. It's a bit like Hazel, if you've heard of that on the Mac. You can set it up to run things on scheduled tasks on your computer. In my case, I take a lot of screenshots over the course of the day for presentations or inclusion in documents, or just when I'm trying to illustrate for people how to do things. I always forget about them, and my desktop becomes cluttered with lots of PNG files. So I've installed 4L. I have set up a little rule to sweep my desktop continuously. As soon as there's a PNG that's been there for more than 5 minutes, whip it off to one side and stick it in a folder, and at the end of the week, delete that folder or clear out that folder.
Okay, that's quite cool.
So it's an open source app. You can download it off GitHub now. It's you can install with Homebrew or other things as well. You can set up all manner of rules. That's the most simplistic one, just to illustrate what can be done with it. But it's really neat. You can do it by extension. You can do it by times and dates. You can set up whatever regular schedule that you wanted to do, or you can just do it manually yourself by clicking a button. You can set up a shortcut to it. It's just a really neat little app. And I didn't want to buy Hazel just for that one thing. And if you've got the money, obviously go and support the developers of Hazel. They've done a great job for a long time. But I just think this is a terrific little app and does exactly what I needed to.
Oh, it looks good. And the screenshots, it looked really nice. Nicely laid out app, nicely presented, well thought out, good design.
Yeah, it's a very Mac-like app.
Yeah, I like that. And as somebody that's been trying to make a Mac app, it's quite hard when you're trying to make an app that looks really good on a Mac. It's quite a challenge.
Thing of the week?
Go on then.
Well, you tell me.
You tell me. So I've gone with BB Edit because I was having to edit some text files. I was like, BB Edit's really good. And I've put a second link in, which is Learn More. which I didn't realise, but BB Edit has a free mode. So you download it, you get a free trial for 30 days of everything. But if you don't do the trial, you can carry on using it in free mode, which for a lot of people that you just want to edit a text file or format a document, it's really good. And I just thought actually it's a great app. They keep it very current, but just thought it was something worth people considering as a little text editor app. Support them if you want to buy it. It's not a very expensive app. They update it from time to time, every couple of years for a new license, and you can obviously pay to do that. But it runs really well. It's really fast, and it's great if you just need to edit a text document and you want to see exactly what's in that text document, which I've had to do a couple of times in the last few weeks.
BB Edit's a great app. I used it. It's been around forever. I think it's a classic Mac app. It's a classic Mac app if you go back far enough. I used the free version, which used to be called Text Wrangler back in the day. And in fact, the little icon for Text Wrangler is there. Not unnamed, but I remember you, Text Wrangler. I bought BB Edit, I think version 13. I upgraded it once, and I can still install it. I bought the App Store version. I don't even know if it's still got an App Store version. I think they came back out of the App Store, even though Apple made a special sort of permission to get them in there because it demanded quite low-level disk access, if memory serves.
Yeah, I think you're right. They did give it some exceptional effort because they were trying to demonstrate, look, you can get your app in the Mac App Store. But I got it straight from the developer. I'm in free mode at the moment, and it's just done exactly what I want. I do have an older license, which I might upgrade at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I still use it from time to time, but I have been trying to use Zed, which is a written in Rust text editor that is not Mac-like at all, but it is very, very fast. It does lots of things well. But BB Edit, I think, for the old Mac heads, somebody like a John Siracusa, who's got so many key bindings and things set up to use it just the way they want to, I think John Gruber uses it for all of his blog posts as well, doesn't he? So it's a long-standing, incredibly well-written Mac app from Barebones Software, and just has the history on its side. And it is fantastic for things like its contextual find and replace of text. If you're trying to work in various code, like Python or something like that, it's got a lot of library and syntax highlighting and all that kind of stuff built into it. But it's a competitive market out there in the text editor space. Zed is really, really good. I think, Microsoft Visual Studio, not Visual Studio Code. Yeah, Visual Studio Code is also a really sort of compelling alternative to it as well, although it's a bit Microsofty for my liking, I got to say.
And that's why I haven't played with that at all. I've got no desire to install that.
Well, there we go. I think we can call that a show, Chris. A bit of a shorter one this week, but it's been a slow news week.
Well, see my theme for the year. It's been a slow news year. So look, if anyone wants to get in contact with us, Rod is at g5mainek@mastodon.scot. I am at _CGP at mastodon.social. You can watch on YouTube by going to our website, wakefromsleep.com, and clicking on the YouTube link. Or you can drop us an email at wakefromsleep@protonmail.com.
Talk to you next week, Chris.
Cheers, Rod.